Hi, my name is Officer Wright. I work for the East Brunswick Police Department Community Policing Unit. Over the last couple of years, I had the privilege and honor of teaching the L.E.A.D curriculum in the East Brunswick schools to fifth graders. L.E.A.D stands for Law Enforcement Against Drugs. The L.E.A.D curriculum, I feel, is something that's so vital and so important to our students and to the community at large. The L.E.A.D curriculum talks about a couple things. It talks about setting reachable goals, making responsible decisions, managing your emotions, selecting your peer group, choosing friends based on certain qualities. It's a 10-week curriculum, and over the first 5 weeks is about skill development. Over the second 5 weeks is about how do we apply these skills that we just learned weeks 1 through 5. When we talk about reaching goals, this is so important because when you have goals, you live a narrow life. Someone that has goals, they know that I'm trying to get from A to Z. In order to do so, I have to live a narrow life. I have to make responsible decisions. I have to manage my emotions because they understand that their emotions will affect their decisions and their decisions affect their goals. They understand they have to choose their friends wisely. You just can't choose anyone to hang around and associate with. You have to choose friends that have good, high qualities in order to be around them. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. They have to understand their attitude. Attitude is more important than ability. They have to understand character traits play a role into their progression in life. They have to be courageous. They have to be self-disciplined. They have to be responsible. These are key ingredients from our students going from boys and girls to men and women that are productive in our society. I hope that over the next 10 weeks you're inspired and you're encouraged. And I hope that you tune in each and every week. And I hope that you would share this with your friends and families. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a student, whether you have a sibling, a younger sibling, or an older sibling, whatever it may be, I hope that you tune in that this really inspires you and encourages you. Again, my name is Officer Wright. I work for the East Brunswick Police Department, and this is the L.E.A.D curriculum. Thank you. Landon, Mia, thank you for being here once again. This is lesson number 8. Lesson number 8, we are turning the corner and we're almost done. After today, we'll have 2 more lessons. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for being my co-host. I really appreciate it. I'm delighted to have you guys. All right, today we're going to talk about the effects of alcohol for lesson number 8. But before we do that, I just want to briefly just go through some of the previous lessons just to jog some memories for those that are listening. All right, lesson 1, we talked about setting goals, right? So short-term, long-term goals. Lesson number 2, we talked about making responsible decisions. Lesson number 3, we talked about managing emotions. So as we go through lesson number 8 today, I want to make sure that you think about that, how emotions could play a role into some of the stuff we're going to talk about, decisions play a role in some of the stuff we're going to talk about, and also your goals short-term and where you want to be years from now. We also talked about bonding in relationships. We talked about friendship qualities. What type of friends are you going to choose? What type of people are you going to hang around? We talked about over-the-counter drugs and prescription drugs. We talked about peer influence, right? What type of people are you going to hang around? The influence of your peers is huge, is very important. All right, so today we're going to talk about the effects of alcohol, and we're going to discuss, after we break down what is alcohol, what are some of the effects of it, we're going to talk about how that plays a role and how that can potentially affect you guys in the future as you continue to go throughout school. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right. When we think about alcohol, it's a drug. It is a drug. When I say drug, what comes to mind?
Like examples or like?
Yeah, whatever comes to mind, whether it's an example or definition, whatever. When you think of the term drug, what comes to mind? Whatever comes to mind.
I think of something that can have a good or bad impact on you and the way you feel.
Right. Okay. So something that can have a positive or negative impact on an individual. Good. You have anything you want to add to that? What do you think about?
I think, well, when I think of drugs, I think of because there's good drugs and bad drugs, so they can make you feel good or they can make you feel bad. Like, over-the-counter medicine can, if you're obviously feeling sick, that can make you feel good. Just an example.
Good. So when I say the word drug, though, you don't typically think about alcohol, right? That's not usually the first thing that comes to mind. You probably think about prescription drugs or some type of street drug that you heard of, but you don't typically think about alcohol when you think of the word or the term drug. But alcohol is a drug. A drug is something that you take, a substance that you take that makes you feel better when you're sick. Like our lesson going back to prescription over-the-counter medicines, those are drugs. Alcohol is also something that you can take that's illegal that will alter your mind or body. So when we think about drug, that's what we want to talk about. The drug that we're going to talk about today, of course, that we've been mentioning is alcohol. Now, with alcohol, there's 3 types of alcoholic beverages. Three types of alcoholic beverages. What are those 3 beverages? You guys want to take a guess? You want to take a guess at one of them? One type of alcoholic beverage?
Beer.
Beer is one. So beer is one of the 3 types of alcoholic beverages. You want to take a guess at what one of the other 2 may be?
Wine.
Wine. So beer, wine. You want to know the last one? Starts. I'm gonna give you a hint to the viewers out there. Here's a hint. Starts with an L.
Liquor.
Liquor. So beer, wine, and liquor are the 3 types of alcoholic beverages. All right. Now, what's the legal age limit to consume alcohol?
21.
21. Why do you think 21? I know you guys don't really know, but why do you think 21 is the age that our government has put federal regulations on? If you're not 21, you shouldn't consume alcohol.
Because
Go ahead, Landon.
Because that's like when you turn 18, you can drive in like 2 years. I'm pretty sure you can drive with like out a parent or something. I don't know. I feel like it. I don't know.
Maybe because it's the age that you can, even if you take college, like that's the youngest age that you can stop taking any school.
Okay, all right.
Maybe.
So I understand where you're coming from. So under 21, it's illegal to consume alcohol, but the reason is because you're still developing. Your brain and body are still developing. You guys are still young. You're preteens. You're still developing. If you consume alcohol and it's bad or it has effects, I want to say bad, it has effects, it can potentially have effects on you physically, meaning it affects your brain and your body, then at 21, studies have shown at 21, then if you start consuming it at 21, your brain and body has already matured to a place where you can responsibly consume alcohol and it won't have the same effects on you if you're under the age of 21. All right, do you have something you want to add with that?
No.
No? Okay. All right, so right now we're going to talk about the 7 effects of alcohol. And as we talk about the 7 effects of alcohol, again, I want you to think back to your previous lessons that we went through and think about how this can potentially affect you in terms of the effects of alcohol if someone like yourself or a friend consumed alcohol knowing that they may have a goal, something they're striving towards. Remember, we have a goal. A goal helps us live a narrow life. If we know where we're going, we know our destination, where we want to get to, then we know that we need to make certain decisions in order to help us to achieve our goal. So one of the effects of alcohol is that alcohol can have an effect on you where you don't think clearly or make good decisions. So it can impair your ability to think clearly or make good decisions. How do you think that can affect you, Mia?
Maybe it can like affect your goal.
It could affect your goal, but how? Why is thinking clearly and making good decisions that important when we're thinking about achieving our goals? Go ahead, he's raising his hand, go ahead.
Well, I feel like thinking clearly, because if you're taking a test and you don't want to get a good grade, if you have like drunk, what is it?
If you're drunk, okay. If you when you're drunk is when you've consumed too much alcohol. You've consumed too much.
Yeah, you won't be thinking straight, so you won't do good on it.
Okay. So do you think that could really affect people, or you think
because it could affect your grades, which could affect like the school you go to and your resume and all that for the future.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Another effect of alcohol is that it can cause you to lose your coordination, right? So when you're walking, you're not really coordinated. You're not walking smoothly. You're not functioning in a way that a normal person may walk or function. How can that affect someone in terms of achieving their goal? Go ahead, Landon.
Well, if you get pulled over by the cops and they ask you to walk in a straight line, that could like go on your prison record.
It can go on your criminal record.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is with your balance and coordination, so it affects your reflexes. Alcohol, it impairs you to the point where it can affect your reflexes. So your balance and coordination is thrown off. So just walking from one place to another, from point A to point B, you don't have the coordination. So just imagine an athlete playing a sport, or you're walking to class, or the Wizard of Oz, you're trying to dance. How can you dance if you don't have balance or coordination? Can you imagine what that would look like if you don't have the balance or coordination up there on that stage? Could you achieve that goal of being Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz? No. So you need your balance and your coordination, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. So another effect of alcohol is that it also can affect one's ability to see clearly. That's called blurred vision. Blurred vision. How could that affect someone's desire to achieve their goal if they have blurred vision, which is an impairment due to alcohol consumption? What do you think?
Maybe like if it's like an educated goal, they can't like read or like see any school studying or like learning things. And then if it's something else, like they can't really, if like it's like an acting goal, they can't really see their lines or anything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like pretty much every goal really needs like sight.
Absolutely.
Really, especially if you have it, it's just like it's taken away from alcohol because you're used to looking at things.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. You gonna add something? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and also like if you're trying to do, as she said, a educational goal, like it'll also make you tired, like without seeing, like having blurred vision. I mean,
that's excellent, and that brings us to our next point, our next effect, is that alcohol actually slows down your breathing. It can cause you to be exhausted, right? So if you're exhausted, if you're tired, if you don't have the energy, you don't have the stamina, then you may not be able to put forth the effort that's necessary to achieve your goal. How can I be in the Wizard of Oz again, or how can I improve in math if I don't have the stamina to study, or the stamina to rehearse my part in the Wizard of Oz, or for myself with my goal as a kid, if I don't have the ability to practice on my craft, which was basketball? You can't be exhausted. So if it slows down your breathing, that means alcohol is impairing you. Something that's impairing you is literally preventing you or hindering you from trying to achieve your goal. And that's not going to be a good thing. You don't want anything impairing you or hindering you from trying to achieve your goal. Now, before we started this live taping, we talked about one of your goals in the long term is to do what? Tell the audience what one of your goals are.
I want to go to Rutgers College.
Mm-hmm. And you want to do what there?
I want to take classes there and get into their dance program.
Get into their dance program. So you want to go to Rutgers, you want to get into Rutgers first of all, so you got to get through the admissions process. Once you get admitted to Rutgers, you want to then take dance classes. Now, one of the next effects of alcohol is that it can cause memory loss. Now, if you start consuming alcohol as an underage, under the age of 21, as a teenager, or a young adult, let's just say you're 20, and you're now losing your memory, you can't retain information, is that going to hinder you from getting into Rutgers?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And think about that. Would you want to be 30 or 40 years old? 1 second. Would you want to be 30 or 40 years old and look back and go, man, I could have gotten into Rutgers, but alcohol really impaired me and caused me to lose some of my memory. So I wasn't able to really focus on the things I had to focus on. You wouldn't like that, right?
No.
Go ahead.
I just want to say, like, with memory loss, I know, like, because my mom went to law school and they had to take this, like, huge test, and, like, let's say you studied for it, but, like, you were, like, drinking alcohol while you were studying, which makes no sense, but, like, let's say you were, then you might not remember what's on the test, which won't get you into law school.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so those are some of the effects of alcohol. And when you think about it, it can have a tremendous impact on your life. So real quick, I played basketball in college with the guy, and obviously I can't say his name, but he was a really good basketball player. He really was. He had a lot of natural ability, a lot of ability that was given to him. And coming into college, his freshman year. He didn't consume alcohol at all, but he started consuming alcohol, and he got caught up with the wrong crowd. Again, the influence from peers. He started consuming alcohol, and some of these things that we talked about in terms of his reflexes, not having balance and coordination, you'll be able to see that when he was just walking throughout campus. You was able to see the memory loss. It affected his ability to learn and to retain information. You could see that it was slowing down his heart rate, like he was exhausted at times. It's like, what happened? And you could really see with your own two eyes the change that had occurred in him from the time he was a freshman, let's say, to the time that he was a junior. And he had the ability and the talent to play professional basketball, but was never able to accomplish that goal because alcohol impaired him at such a young age, and it hindered him from being able to accomplish some of his goals. I don't want to see that for you two. I don't want to see that for the students that's listening. And it's not to say that alcohol in of itself is inherently evil. That's not what we're saying. We just want to make well-informed decisions. If you know the effects of something and you know how it's going to affect you, then you can make a responsible decision. You can't make a responsible decision if you don't know the effects. If you now know that alcohol can affect your ability to learn, then you may think twice about it because you know that your goal is to get into Rutgers. Now, we need to help Landon figure out what's his long-term goal. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking about? What are some long-term goals you're thinking about? You had talked before we started live taping about some things, and why don't you share that with some of the students?
So one of my long-term goals is to have an acting part in like a blockbuster movie with like a bunch of like paparazzi and stuff. But if that doesn't happen, one of my like really long-term goals for when I'm like 18 to 22 is I want to get into what's it called? Maryland's College.
Maryland?
Yeah.
University of Maryland?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to get into University of Maryland because I went there a few years ago with my dad and my brother and my mom, and I like the school, and I think that it'll be a good learning space for me in the future.
Great. That's really good. That's really good. I'm proud of both of you. I'm really proud of you. The last effect I want to talk about is alcohol has the ability to cause slurred speech. Slurred speech. What do I mean when I say slurred speech? Does anyone know what that means, slurred speech?
Like, it's almost like you can't talk. Like, you're, like, talking, like, gibberish.
Right, gibberish, like it's like mumble. You're not speaking clearly.
Like when people are sleep talking, they don't really talk clear.
Right, sometimes that happens. That's a really good point. Sometimes when people are sleep talking, their speech is slurred too. Like, it's not clear. It's like, what are you saying? Say it again? I don't really understand what you're saying. But that's because alcohol, again, can have that type of effect on our bodies. Remember, alcohol affects the brain and the body. But think about that in terms of slurred speech. You can't be an actor on a set of any kind of blockbuster movie or film if you have slurred speech.
Yeah, just any film.
Right, any film, you can't. You can't get admitted into a college and do well if you have slurred speech. These things all affect the end game. Where are we going? Where do you want to get to, and how are you going to get there? And it's important to realize, it's important to know, because you're going to have people that are going to encourage you to try these things. Some people are going to say, everyone does it. Everyone drinks alcohol, right? Why not? You know, when you get in high school, they're going to be, oh, we're going to have a party. Alcohol is going to be there. But you have to make the decision for yourself, not for your parents, for yourself. If I engage in this activity, if I consume this alcohol, can this potentially affect me from achieving my goals? That's a decision that you're going to be faced with one day. And what are you going to do when you're faced with it? Hopefully, lessons like today's lessons, when you know the effects and you've heard about the effects, it will help you make a responsible decision. Because you too can accomplish your dreams, you can accomplish your goals, but you have to make responsible decisions. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Anything you want to add to that?
No.
No? Anything you want to add to that?
Mm-mm.
No? All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. This is lesson number 8 on the effects of alcohol. We'll see you next week for lesson number 9. Thank you.